Hi guys, let's do some literature review with AutoGEN. So AutoGEN is a framework that enables development of large language models. Here we can have different agents that can play the role of a human, that can play the role of the worker. For example, here we have math solving problems. So here we can design agents as a student, as an assistant, and an expert. For example, here we can have multi-agent coding, a writer, commander, and safeguard, online decision making, retrieval augmented chat, dynamic group chat, conversational chess. There's so many use cases that you can put your hands on. In this video, you're going to start and do everything that is necessary to get started and use AutoGEN. So first of all, we head over to Python and we need to go to python.org, head over to downloads and download this Python 3.12. Anyway, you need to have anything greater than Python 3.8. Once you install this, next we need the Visual Studio Code editor. You can use any other code editor, but this is my favorite, so I'm going to download this for Windows. I've already installed this because I've been using this for so many years. Next we need Docker Desktop. This is running your systems contained in a Docker. So we need to download this. I have already downloaded for desktop for my Windows, and that's done. I have downloaded everything. So Python is done, Visual Studio Code, and the Docker. So I'm going to close these three, and then I'm going to open platform.openai.com. So here you need to create an account. You need to put in your credit card, which is when you can use the API keys here. You can just create a secret key here and create a secret key here. So this is a secret key generated. I will use this secret key in my coding later. So having done this, let's get started with the code. So I'm gonna head over to my start. I'm gonna click Visual Studio Code, and a new window opens up. So we click on the open folder here, and then we head over to my projects folder. So let me create this YouTube AutoGEN. So let me open this, let me select this folder. So the folder is selected. We are in the 140 YouTube AutoGEN. Now we are going to create a new file, but before that we need to manage our environments here. I think we should create a separate environment. So we say Ctrl+Shift+P and create an environment here. We'll click on VENV, virtual environment. We can use 3.10.11 Python version. This is going to load up our virtual environment, which is where we are going to install every library and everything that are needed for the project. We want to make sure that we keep our projects separated using a virtual environment, because some projects need different versions of different Python and other packages. That gets very clumsy if you don't do the differentiating, and if you don't classify, if you don't package them in a different environment. So once we have this environment folder generated, we click on the environment folder, then we click on scripts, we click on activate bat, and just run this. So we are in the VENV virtual environment here. Now we need to go back to the main folder, which is cd ... It just to go back, we close this activate.bat, we minimize this VNV, and we click outside of the VNV, and then we click on the new file. Let me name this as app.py. So this is the Python file that we're going to create. Now before starting anything, let us install a few libraries. So pip install pyautogen. So we need to install this. And one more thing that we need to install is the xgboost that is required for running the AutoGEN. So after having done this, just 5 seconds, okay, then we need to install pip install xgboost. So after having installed this, we can now head over to the main file and start our code. So the first and foremost thing that we need to do is from AutoGEN we need to import assistant agent, that will be assistant, and user proxy agent, that will be our user. Also we need to have the current working directory, so I'm just gonna import OS, and I'm just going to name this variable as os.getCwd, and this is our working directory. Okay, we need to configure our configuration list. Config list is equal to create a list here and create a dictionary here. So this is model. The model will be you can use any of the models, but GPT-4 works the best. So go to GPT-4 0613. Okay, you can find the list of models in the platform.openai.com. if you head over to this location. Let me first copy this secret key and put it here. API key, and it should be underscore API key, and you're going to paste in and put in this key. We have this colon here. Okay, so what I was saying is that what are the type of models, what are the models that you can have. So if you head over to platform.openai.com and then you head over to documentation, head over to the models here, and then you can see different types of models that are being used. So GPT 3.5 Turbo, 3.5 Turbo 16K, we have DaVinci, Text DaVinci 002, and then you have GPT-4. So I've tested with everything, but the thing that I'm going to show you, and especially AutoGEN with the framework of multi-agents, even GPT 3.5, the outputs are not that good. So we need to use GPT-4. So I'm using GPT-4 this 0613. So once we have this configuration ready, now what we can do is we can now define another LLM config, and this will host the configuration files. So config list is equal to config list. So that's the config list. So this is done. This is just a simple step. So we have the configuration list. In this case, we have only one model and API key. So this is stored in the LLM config. Now we are going to use LLM config in different configurations and different configurations of the assistant agent or user proxy agent. Now we define a new variable. We say assistant. We're going to start a class, start an instance of this class, or assistant agent. And then we are going to put in a few variables. We're going to put this name. So what name are you going to assign? I'm going to call this assistant only. Next, LLM config is equal to LLM config. So we have this configuration file. Then we need to put this is termination message. Is the termination message is equal to lambda x true. Okay, if terminate in x get content. So in the content of x, if you get something known as terminate, you're going to terminate this. Okay, you're going to get true here, else you'll get false here. So this is the syntax there. Next, we are going to create a user proxy. Again, if you want to check out other videos that we had, please check out these videos where you can get more examples of AutoGEN. So we have user proxy, name is user proxy here, and then we need to put human input mode is never. So we are never going to interact with this system. Then we have the same message is termination. You can put in everything here. So if there is a termination message or terminate content, if we find terminate in the content, we can just terminate the thing. Okay, it should be dot here, x dot get content. because you're getting content from X. Since we are working with OpenAI API keys, it has some cost, so we are going to limit the consecutive replies. Otherwise it may go to some infinite loop, which will be very costly for our pockets. So execution configuration, here we say working directory is workdir and use docker is true. So you're going to use the docker as well. So I think this is done, and once we have our assistant here, once we have the user here, we can now start our code. So we can say user dot proxy, user underscore proxy, that is the thing that we created, dot initiate chat, and here we are going to ask the assistant to get started, and the message is something like find the top 5 maybe ArXiv papers that show the how people are studying the regulatory and let's say policy aspects in AI based systems. Then summarize and write a literature review, okay, on the same topic. So we ask this to search for the top 5 papers and do a literature review. I think this is done. Let's run the code. In order to run the code, we head over to this location and say python app.py. Press enter. Let's see the output. Okay, find the top 5 archives papers that show how people are studying the regulatory and policy aspects. It is running. This is hands-free. We are not going to interrupt and do anything. However, the max consecutive auto reply is kept as 5 in order to minimize the cost in case of any contingencies that might happen. If there is a loop going through, that will help us regulate our cost. So it gave us a code. The assistant gave a code. To achieve this, we can follow this plan. Use Python to scrape latest papers from ArXiv with the search query, regulatory and policy aspects in AI, and summarize each paper using a Python text summarization library. In the first step, we will need to send a request to ArXiv API to get papers. Please keep in mind that ArXiv results may contain papers in diverse language. In this case, you will have to consider using a translation module to translate non-English text. In addition, the summarize depends on the quality of the summarization library used and may not represent the full content of the paper. Here is the Python code to get the data from API and print it. It uses Python requests and the feed parser libraries to fetch and parse the data. So this script fetches the top 5 papers about regulatory and policy aspects. So we import the libraries. We create a function here which is search ArXiv. This is a search query and the max results is 5. So we call this, so search ArXiv, this is the topic, and then we print the paper title, paper author, paper published, and the link of the paper. Please run the above code and share the output. So this is what the assistant give to the user proxy. The assistant give the user proxy a code and asks the user proxy to run this code and share the output. So if there is some errors, it can rectify and share the code again. So the user proxy is executing the code, and it found user proxy is executing the code. It found no feed parser. So the assistant says it seems like the feed parser module is missing in your environment. This module is required here to parse the RSS feed returned by the API. To install this module, please run this command: pip install feed parser. After the feed parser module is installed, please run the previous script again. Then the module, the user proxy agent, again runs this code and got this installation error. So this is the installation error. So the assistant replies again with a new code. It executes the code, and then there is some other issue which it was able to rectify. Then we got another issue. Okay, another issue, and feed parser. It seems that 5 replies were not enough to get this started. So what you're going to do is we are going to put in 10 replies here, maybe 10 auto executive agents, and then I think it should be able to do this. So we set 10 here, and I'm going to run this again, keeping in mind the cost that might be incurred. Okay, successfully installed the feed parser, but let's see the output, if it is able to generate the output. So ultimately you can see it was able to install the feed parser, but I think it is working on the prompt now. Okay, it was able to get 5 papers here. Defining AI in policy versus practice towards an unanimous international regulatory body for responsible use, a game theoretic framework of AI governance, regulating artificial intelligence proposal for global solution, regulatory market, the future of AI governance. So great, we have now the links to the 5 papers we're interested in. The next step is to fetch the full text of the paper. However, scraping full paper from the PDF is a complex task, and archives policies prohibits large-scale mining. We have fetched the summary, so you can fetch the summary here. So this is the summary defining, this is the name of the paper, author, published, link, and summary. So we have 5 papers here, but I needed the literature review done. So I think it is doing the literature review here, yes. After reviewing the summaries of this paper, here is a brief review of the literature in the area of regulatory and policy aspects. So this is what I wanted. So this is how we can use, this is what I wanted to get a literature review of the regulatory and policy aspects of AI. So let us read through this. Defining AI in Policy versus Practice by Grislian. The paper raises concerns about harms of information technology and the need for regulatory action to prevent and restrict certain developments in AI. The paper finds that AI researchers and policymakers have different viewpoints. The former emphasizes technical functionalities while the latter compares systems to human thinking and behavior. Bagingo warns that the focus on the future of AI might undermine the issues currently posed by the existing technologies. Towards an unanimous international regulatory body for responsible use of artificial intelligence, UIRB AI by Rajesh. Chidambaram discusses the societal impact of AI and the need for unanimous international regulatory body for all applications of AI. Got it. The Game Theoretic Framework for AI Governance by Xiao Fang. Fang discusses the strategic interaction between regulatory agencies and the AI firms and proposes a game theoretic modeling framework for AI governance. He believes this approach can address downside risks and ensure that AI environments are safe, fair, responsible, and aligned with human values. Really. Regulatory artificial intelligence. Proposal for a global solution by Judy Goldsmith. Goldsmith proposes the creation of a new international regulatory body for AI development, regulations, and uniform standards. This agency could pool interdisciplinary expertise to develop AI global policies. Goldsmith also calls for a change in mindset in what constitutes regulation to overcome barriers or to AI regulatory developments. The regulatory markets, the future of AI governance by Jack Clark. Clark explores the concept of regulatory markets where governments require those subjects to regulation to purchase regulatory services from private regulators. This approach could leverage both command and control regulation and requires market forces to develop regulatory methods that best achieve policy objective. In conclusion, current literature points towards the need for a comprehensive, balanced, and collaborative regulatory framework for AI. This involves combining technology and human perspectives in defining AI, harmonizing global regulations, integrating game theoretical models in AI governance, and exploring innovative governance models like regulatory markets. It is worth noting that extracting summaries from the documents doesn't fully capture all aspects of the paper. To conduct a thorough literature review, read the full text is often necessary. Be sure to navigate to the given URLs to read the complete document. So we have the URLs as well. Let me open up an URL here. So I click and follow, open this. Let's see if it opens the pretty good. So it has got the correct URLs as well. So this is how we do literature review. This is how we do everything to get started with AutoGEN. So if you like this video, consider subscribing to my channel. Please like and share this video. And if you want to learn more about how I run huge models in cloud GPU, consider watching this video on RunPods. This is the host Prompt Engineer signing off. Bye bye, have a nice day.